Hi, I'm Chris from the Tabletop Game Talk podcast, and today we're going to do a reboxing of Lords of Waterdeep. So I did a reboxing last week on Fields of Green, and we got a comment from Vigilant Gamer saying how much he'd like to do this for Lords of Waterdeep. I took a look at my Lords of Waterdeep box, just pulled it off the shelf, opened it up, and this is what it looked like. Yeah, we can do better than that. So let's take a look at what we can do with reboxing Lords of Waterdeep. Now, this is Lords of Waterdeep basically set up. We have our building tiles, we have our intrigue cards, we have our quest cards, we have our lords over here, along with some player pieces, victory points, gold, some miscellaneous tokens, your first player token, and a couple agents that you could potentially get during the game, and cubes that represent priests, warriors, thieves, and clerics, or priests, whatever they call them in the game. So this is essentially what we have. Now, inside of the Lords of Waterdeep box, you have an amazing insert. Everything has a place for it. But the problem with this is you have to put everything back away. Each little piece goes in its own little thing. Each one of these tokens has its own spot. All your little guys are standing up here. You need to stack these up and put them all in a line. It's a pain. So let's not use the insert. Let's see what happens when we take the insert out. So the first thing we're going to do is box up our victory points. And by that, I mean putting them in baggies. Now these are 4x5 inch bags, 4 mil. There's a link in the show notes on where you can get these on Amazon. They're really good, solid feel. If you've watched the reboxing of Fields of Green, you'll know that these things are sturdy. They feel good, they have a nice seal to them, and they take Sharpie fairly well. So I've written on this bag victory points. So putting this away is as simple as dumping these into the bag. Now the reason I label the bags are so that at the end of a game, everyone knows where things are supposed to go. Even I will forget after not playing a game for a while what I anticipated doing. So here we have gold. Anybody who grabs this bag can say, oh, I know what the gold pieces look like. I'll just throw them in here, seal it up, and we have another bag ready to go. All set. Now, our first player and miscellaneous tokens here, I'm using a smaller, this is a 3x4 4 mil. There's also a link. I buy these by the hundreds because they're pretty cheap, less than $10 per 100, or in this case, less than $10 for 200. So one set of these and you're not going to have to worry about buying more. Our cubes, I rarely separate out resource cubes, and the reason is they're self-separating during the game. You're going to have things that tell you to grab certain colored cubes. You're going to grab them. You're going to put them back. You don't need separate piles for them. During the game, if somebody's bored and they want to separate them, they certainly can. But for storage and setup, it's completely unnecessary. So I just put all of them in the same bag and seal that up. For quest cards, again, just back to the same size bags that we're using for everything. Quest cards in there. Done. For intrigue cards, of course, same thing. The bag is labeled. Nice, solid seal. Then we have our Lord cards. These are cards that are passed out at the beginning of the game. Basically, these also fit in their own little bag without a problem. And buildings. Now buildings, I'm using I believe this is a 6x6. There's a link down in the show notes. They're about the same size as a sandwich bag. These are much thicker and sturdier. You can also use 2 of the 4x5 bags if you don't want to get another separate set. Like I say, I have a number of these bags that I use for various purposes, and this one just seemed a little bit better for these. Now I do split them into stacks here, just to give it a little bit more of a thinner feel. But once these are all in here, seal it up, and they're nice and solid. I can mess around with them without a problem. Finally, we have our player pieces, and this is really the key to all of my reboxings, is making sure that one bag has everything a player needs to set up their own game. Now this one it's one more step, depending on your turn order. You may have different goals you start with, but otherwise you're here to go. And actually, you might all start with the same gold, but whatever it is, this is my setup for that. So I have my black, my green, and again, I just put the color on the top. I don't need to put player on there. The players know. It's like, oh, green. Yeah, I was the green player. I will put those away. Seal that up. And then we have all of the others here. And these are the player packets. Hand those out when you're doing your setup. And that's all you need to do for the basic game. However, there is an expansion for Lords of Waterdeep. And it's actually a double expansion. There's 2 expansions in this box. And again, it has this really nice insert. One expansion goes here, another expansion goes here. The 6th player goes here. Great idea, except for now, instead of having this one box, I have 2 boxes. And it's just, I have to separate it out. It's a big mess. So now, let's take a look at what we can do with the expansion. So the expansion comes in 2 pieces. And it has some boards. So this is our expansion. Now, each of these has some extra Lord cards, it has some extra intrigue cards, and it has some extra quest cards. You can separate them out basically by the symbol on the card. And once you have those stacks of symbols, you just put them here. Now, I'm putting the stacks all in the same place, as opposed to separating these cards out, because depending on the kind of game you're playing, you may use one expansion, both expansions. If you use both expansions, you need to take out a certain number of the building cards. If you're using one expansion, you just need those cards. You don't need to worry about anything else. If you're playing 6 players, you have to have at least one. So it just makes more sense to have these as separate. So what I'm going to do here is, and I'm using a little bit of my own artwork here, I'm marking these with icons. This helps players, so if I say Undermountain, this doesn't really make sense to a player who's not familiar with the game. So here, there's a little beholder icon on here, works out just fine. I take these 4x5 bags and put all the cards inside of here. Now I do separate the cards by type just before I put them in, but otherwise that's all I'm having my players do. Look for all the icons with the beholder icon, a little icon that looks like this, and put the cards in this bag. And then buildings, same basic thing. Each building has an icon on it that will allow you to easily find where these go. And you're just going to put these in here. So now I have one expansion. The other one, this is my fun artwork for, I believe this is the Skullport expansion. Really, it's lots of corruption and things like that. So we're going to put corruption here. These are for the cards. And then the buildings. And that's our other expansion. Very easy. If I want to play with this expansion, that expansion, I just grab it. Now, we do have a few extra pieces here. First of all, we have these 5 resource pieces. There's a lot more potential knight or wizards and thieves and fighters that you'll need. So these count as 5 cubes. Also, we have these corruption tokens, which come into play on this expansion here. So the corruption tokens we're going to be able to, we need to be able to store too. So what I'm going to do actually for this is I'm going to take this miscellaneous bag that I was using before. This is the small bag. I'm going to take these out of here because now that we have more miscellaneous pieces, we're not going to use these. And instead, we're just going to use this. So this says first player marker. That's the rook. It says extra agents, that's these here. It says corruption tokens, so we'll put those in here as well. There's a certain number of corruption tokens, so you want to keep track of these when you run out. I think it's resource limited. Not that there's anything wrong with that, you don't really want a lot of corruption, but depending on how you play. And then it has the ×5 tokens, which are these here. So I'm just going to throw those in. So now our miscellaneous bag just has miscellaneous pieces in it. We also have a 5th or 6th player, which is the gray player, and we have more agents for the other players. With 6 players, you get more agents. So what we're going to do for these is we're just going to put these in their appropriate bags. I'll do that off camera because it's not interesting at all. But for our gray tokens, let's just throw everything in here. And we're all set. And that's that. Now the really cool thing about this box here is much thinner than this box here. This box is very cool. The Lords of Waterdeep box is awesome. But it has like a half lid and it's very tall. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our expansion box. We're gonna take out the insert. So we don't care about the insert anymore. Just throw that out. And we're gonna put all of our pieces in this box, including the board. Board folds up, goes into the box. Our Lord cards go here. Our expansion boards go here. Buildings from the base game. Cards from the base game. Our tokens. All of those. We get our buildings from the expansions. Buildings here. Our miscellaneous tokens. And then our player packets. And the expansion and the base game all fit inside of one nicely thin box. It's a little heavier. It's super robust. Don't try this at home. But these bags are solid. They're sturdy. They can move around. You can stick that in a backpack, bring that anywhere. You might get a little damage to the box if you're bouncing around like I just did, but the components inside are nice and safe. So that's my reboxing on Lords of Waterdeep. Understand this game is not new, but Vigilant Gamer, this one's for you. So hope this helps you out. Thanks for watching.